Aloha everyone, and welcome to another video by me, K. Elmer, and in this electro healing series I'd like to share with you my research on brown gas generators and do a product review of the 3 generators I mentioned in my prior video, of which I own 2. So back in that video, a lot of folks expressed an interest in doing this comparison and doing a review so you could learn a little bit more, and I learned a lot as well in the research, and so I just wanted to share it with you. So let's just jump into this product review. Obviously I just want to get in some disclaimers. The statements made in this video have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I do not recommend or endorse any specific products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned. Reliance on any information appearing and discussed in this video is solely at everyone's own risk, and some material discussed in this video is theoretical, and conclusive evidence remains to be published. All right? So now, the 3 generators that I had mentioned in my prior video on brown gas were these 3, starting with this one on the left. It's the company's called Hydrogen for Health, and the model is called the H2 Life, actually version 2. That's the current one that's being sold, and the price on this one is $14.45 as of December 27th. It's actually on sale like now for the holidays, but the listed price is $14.45. The other brown gas generator is from a company called Alkaway, and it's called the HydroGenie, and it's currently retailing at $19.97. And this third one here is from a company called Eagle Research, and the product or the generator itself is called the AquaCure AC50. It's currently retailing for $24.99. Of these 3, I own the Hydrogen for Health H2 Life, and I own the Eagle Research AquaCure AC50. These are the 2 that I happen to have purchased, and I'm actually going to walk you through how I use both of those machines. I didn't get the third one for this review because it's Christmas and I no longer have any more money. So I've only got the 2. Okay, don't have an extra $2,000, so I'm only going to review the 2. But I did look on the website. I did a side-by-side comparison of all of the features, so I can talk to the Alkaway and rating them specifically and purely by all of the information that's on their websites about each one of these 3 products is how I'm going to do the comparison, and then I'll walk you through the product review because I actually own 2 of these guys. But honestly, like I said in my last video, each one of these companies is a well-established company that goes back a long time. And they produce very high quality products. So I think these are 3 of the top brown gas generators that are out there on the market right now, and any one of these 3 is a really exceptional product. So but let me get through and start talking to you about the features. So the main features, now when you actually look at the, they have all these different things that they do. I mean, all these little features of it, alarms and gauges and timers and all that kind of stuff. But when it really boils down to what really makes a difference between the 3 different products is this list of features right here. So right off the bat, all 3 of these machines serve as a brown gas inhalation machine, so you can use it to breathe in the brown gas if to bring that into your body through breathing. You can also do a brown gas water. You can use it as a bubbler to drink the water, which is what's really recommended to get the full treatment if you're looking at increasing your antioxidants, which is what brown gas is superior for. Is to drink the bubbled water and do the inhalation together, and that's really the brown gas treatment. That's the whole purpose of these machines, right? Is so they all do that. They all do the inhalation. They all produce water. They also, because they produce the water and they also produce the gas, you can also use any one of these 3 machines for topical applications, which is not something that's really brought up a lot, but that's one of the most advantageous aspects of these machines. Is that you can apply either the brown gas water on wounds and issues on your skin, or you can actually put the gas, and you can using like a cupping type of device, and I'll show you that in a video coming up. And you can actually apply brown gas directly to your skin or through the water. Apply brown gas water. So using it topically is also something that has been found to alleviate pain, improve healing, and there's a lot of really interesting things that brown gas can do. So now the other aspect that I really look at when I looked at these 3 was the concept of portability, because these 2, the H2 Life and the HydroGenie, are quite small. So they're actually very small compared to the AquaCure. And because that they're small, they're very portable, and they would fit like into a Target tote bag, and so you could carry those, and I'm thinking of bringing one to work now, because the smaller one, and it's something that I could take with me, and it would be very simple to do so. Now, there's nothing wrong at all with the AquaCure. It's just larger. You can put handles on it, but it wouldn't be as versatile and from just carry around tiny little box than it would be than these two other models. So I kind of rated it as, yes, the portability factor is, these two are much higher from a portability factor, and I really don't see AquaCure as a portable device. It's more like you put it down somewhere and you're going to use it where it lives. But here's the other thing about the other features that I personally, and this is all my opinion, right? Everyone's got an opinion, but my opinion here is that the other features that really stand the AquaCure apart from the other two, which is something that now, from the standpoint of simultaneous usage, okay, now all these machines put out about the same amount of gas, except the AquaCure puts out about twice as much from an output standpoint. So if you were to take an inhalation dose, like 1 hour on the H2 Life, you would just get X amount of gas, right? Breathing in gas, and so the idea here from a simultaneous usage is that the AquaCure puts out so much gas that it's really geared towards two people using it at the same time. So that's what I mean by simultaneous usage. I see the AquaCure being a bigger machine, putting out more gas, as something that two people could do at the same time. So if you are married and you basically, you and your wife are sitting on the couch and you don't want to take turns, but you just use it at the same time, you're going to both get a very full dose of Brown's gas machine. Otherwise, if you take like an H2 Life and you split it, and each one of you are pulling off the same line of gas, you're both going to get roughly half of the amount of gas, because you're splitting it, as opposed to this thing really puts out twice as much. Now, that's my theory on that. I've actually kind of sent out an email to George, kind of asking him, is that about the correct way to look at things? So it's just an opinion, but that's kind of how I see it. Okay, it's my opinion. And then the other thing about the AquaCure, that it has a frequency generator built into it. So for those of you who are familiar with resonant frequencies, and all of the different frequencies, let's say of the solfeggio scale, or the Nogier frequencies, these frequencies have all of these different properties when it's played. And it can be immersed into water, it could be put into sound, or music. But there's a lot to be said, and a lot of research, and a lot of really interesting science about resonant frequencies. And then what's really cool about the AquaCure is it's got a built-in resonant frequency generator. So you can actually embed frequencies into the water, into the gas. And that makes it very unique. And the other thing, too, that the AquaCure can do, that the other two don't do, is it also doubles as a welding device. It's a welding generator. So there's actually a torch accessory you can attach to the AquaCure. So when you're not using it for inhalation or bubbling water, you can use it for a torch. And I talked a lot about torches in the last, welding with HHO gas in my last video. So if you want to learn about that, go check that video out. But being able to use it as a torch, and as an inhalation, and for water, sets the AquaCure apart from the other two. And then lastly, it produces, because it's a torch, it has the torch, and it's water in, water out, right? That's what I said in the last video. That water out is new water. And if you've studied water, the work of Gerald Pollack, or Fourth Phase of Water, Miyamoto, and the whole study of water, one of the most amazing things you could ever get your hands on is water that's called new water. And what new water is water that's had its memory erased, and it's perfectly pristine, and you can then embed whatever you want into that water and then drink it and then go from there. So there's a lot of this is theoretical, a lot of it is not mainstream science, but it's out there, and it's an amazing thing. So for those of you who are curious tinkers, I would suggest, and if you haven't heard about resonant frequencies or the concepts of new water, it's something you might want to take a peek at. It is very, 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 very interesting. But it does that. Because it has a welding device, it can produce new water. And this is a protocol that George Weissman will be coming out next year to actually provide everyone with that protocol as to how exactly to do that. So now, so what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to walk you through the actual product reviews the two different generators that I have in my house, and show you the different features and what and all the different aspects of the two machines. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. This is the AquaCure AC50, and as I talked about in the vendor matrix, this is the master power switch that turns on the generator. The gas production doesn't actually start until you actually set the timer, and it's presets at 10, 20, 30, and 60 minutes, and if you hold the 60-minute button down for 5 seconds, then it'll run into continuous mode. You know that there's gas producing when you see the green light. Now in this model here, you actually have a gauge inside here, so where there's a little blue light and a little ball that floats right on the top of the meniscus of the gauge. You can always see between full and low what your water level is. I just flushed this tank, and so it is approximately 1,250 milliliters is just below the full line. So that's whenever you're filling this back up, you want to be right here at 1,250 milliliters of electrolyte. So that kind of is the perfect run in terms of fill for the tank. You'll see this thing drop down as you use the machine because it's burning the water and turning it into oxygen and hydrogen. And so as you see this thing go down, right around in here, you want to go ahead and really basically top off the tank, taking water from the first filter and putting it into the tank up here. But if it ever does go low, it has an automatic shut off and an alarm that will go off when the water gets too low, or if it's overfull, there'll be a red light over here that'll tell you that it's overfull, and it won't run when it's overflow as well. Oh, the cycle just finished, so let me go ahead and turn it back on for another 10 minutes. Show you the meter here. Right here is the meter. Basically the bottom number is the percent of gas outputs. You can push this button to lower. So right now I am actually bubbling some water, a glass of water for myself, and you want to run it at 100%. When you're doing inhalation, you want to look at the chart for the size of the person you are. And so for me, average adult male human, I'm around 40% in terms of gas outputs. You don't want to have the machine put out more than your body can saturate, and this is the best way to do it. So it can change as you do different things with the machine, whether you inhalate or bubble water, or switch to, let's say, a smaller person. You'd want to lower this number. This top number here is controlled by these two buttons, and that is the frequency that's being generated into the tank, and it comes out through the water vapor and then into the glass. So you can actually play with resonant frequencies, and right now it's set at 432. And for those of you who are interested in frequencies, you can take a look at solfeggio frequencies, Nogier frequencies, and so forth, and that'll kind of give you an idea what different resonant frequencies are known for in terms of health and wellness and so forth. And that's pretty much it. The nice other feature I do like about the AC50 is back here, you've got this counter, and this is really helpful. Now, like I said, you can either go by the numbers from the specs, which is every 10 hours top off the tank, every 100 hours flush the tank, or after I've owned this thing for about 2 months now, so I just know that based on where this water level is what I should do. But you can go by timer, or you can go by just watching the gauge, either way. So really, when you turn it on and you set the timer, when you turn on the machine, it just turns it on. You set the timer, that's when the gas production starts. You know that by the green light. Then the gas is actually being produced inside the machine. It's in a tank right here where you see this nozzle goes down into the tank, and then there's this expansion capsule right here, and that's where it allows the gas to expand if it needs to. That comes out of this tube right here. This is the refill valve, but this tube right here is where the gas comes out, and there's two filters. This is the very first filter. This is the standard setup of the machine, by the way. This is the first filter. Now, some folks put the filter over here. You can put it on any corner of the machine. I just put it there because it's convenient for where I put it, next to the couch. So the first filter is there, and then the first filter then comes out of this tube right here, and then goes into the second filter, and then it comes out the second filter, and then it goes, and then you bubble into your glass and you drink from here. So that's the main, there's 2 filters, and the whole point of the filters is to make sure with 100% certainty that none of the electrolyte will go into any of the water you drink or the gas that you breathe. So it's important to have the 2 filter system, and then you actually drink out of the third or breathe the gas out of the second filter. But either way, you want the gas to go through 2 filters before you breathe it or bubble it in water. All right, so that's pretty much for the AC50. And really the best features about this are just the fact that you can change the output of the machine. You can run it continuously, and this continuous mode, by the way, it's continuous. You can literally, if you watch this volume go down, you can actually refill it up here with this port right there using a syringe. And you don't have to turn the machine off. It literally will continuously run until the moment comes where you hit the 100-hour mark where you need to flush the whole tank out. But you can continually keep filling up the tank and run it continuously 24 hours a day until you hit that 100-hour, 120-hour mark where you actually need to do some maintenance on the tank, flush it out, filter out the electrolyte, and so forth. So that is by far one of the huge pluses of this machine, is that it does have a continuous mode, and you can run it all night long or for days if you wanted to. The other thing is you can really kind of, if you're into resonant frequencies, this is a huge plus. And the other thing too is the gauge. It goes up and down. It also puts out a lot more gas than the other machine. All right, so one last thing I wanted to show you about my AquaCure is I've actually done a couple of mods to it, just because I like to tinker. So as you know, there's a 2-step filter process. So what I've done is, here's the first filter and here's the second one that comes with the machine. But what I went ahead and did was I went and got another bracket, and these are just your regular bicycle water bottle holders, so you can just buy them. They come in pairs, so I just swapped out the old one and put in the other ones now. So I got matching pairs. I got a second bottle. They're like I think about $8 or $9 on Amazon. And so basically I've got the gas coming out of the chamber into filter 1, comes around and it goes into filter 2, which are now snugly set on the machine. So now I don't have to this thing's not off to the side separate, which is kind of convenient. So that's my first mod, is I've just modified the filters so that they're both now the same type of bottle and attached to the machine. The next mod that I've actually kind of wanted to do was, I was looking into the research on nano bubbles as compared to regular bubbles. And so what's real interesting is, the research shows that anything under 1 nanometer in terms of a bubble, when suspended in water, doesn't rise to the surface because the bubble is so small it remains in suspension. So I just had this thought, so I went and got myself a 0.5 micron bubbler, and these things are like $22, but I went ahead and swapped out. Now this original was filter 2, right? This was filter 2, and it came with the stone filter that Eagle Research provides with the machine. So I swapped out the stone filter, went and got myself a 0.5 micron nano bubbler, stainless steel nano bubbler. And now the concept here is now if I got 2 filters, coming out of the second filter now is what you would basically drink and or inhale. But the idea though of having just hold on, I'm gonna need both hands. So now that I've got the lid on, so now the third filter, the second filter that came with the machine, which is now a separate bottle, because I've already got 1 filter and 1 filter, all right? So if I hit the machine, let's just say I'm setting it at 20 minutes, and I decide to okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring this thing down because I want to inhale. So here's the idea. If I'm going to go into an inhalation mode, I don't want to go past 40, right? So I want to, if you look it up the chart, it's all about your lung size. So I'm going to set this thing down for inhalation, but here's where the tink comes in, because I'm tinkering. So now I got 2 filters on the machine, the third bottle, which was the second filter, with a nano bubbler, okay, which supposedly creates a better suspension of gas, is bubbling into this bubble here. And now I'm using this jar and out we come, and this is my nasal cannula. So what I'm doing is it's a twofer. So while I'm bubbling water to drink, because now I can put in what I want to drink in this guy, and I washed it thoroughly, by the way, you know, before I started to use this for drinking. But now it's like, hey, I can breathe while I bubble instead of separately. Two birds, one stone. I don't waste any time on the machine, because up until now, like at nighttime, like I'll like do a jug of water when I get home from work, and then I'll sit down and then breathe. But now I can do the jug of water and breathe at the same time. So, you know, it's a little bit less wear and tear on the machine, but more so it's just I like to tinker, and why not? So here's something to think about, is getting a nano bubbler instead of the stone bubbler, setting up, you know, your rig. But you know, it's all about how you want to play with it. But this is just, you know, just for efficiency standpoint, I can breathe, which I'm doing right now as I'm talking, and I can bubble water at the same time. So when I'm done, you know, breathing through the cannula, I can just drink this water and it's good to go. This thing is super clean. I cleaned it out. It's got drinking water in it now. Of course, these two guys over here have distilled water, and hey, I'm good to go. So it's just one of my things. I'd also like to add on some of the other accessories that come with this machine. I want to talk about that now. Obviously, there's this for topical applications. If you see that, there's that little hole right there, and so you would basically take any one of the tubings that come with the machine, plug it into this, and it's what it is. It's a silicone funnel. That's all it really is. It's an expandable funnel. But then what you do is you would place this over like a wound, over a bruise, over anything that's sore. And the only thing so far I've tried it on that it doesn't really work that well is my knee. I got knee problems, and this thing does not go over a knee very well, because as you can imagine, it's supposed to be flat. But otherwise, you'll see this thing just fill up as it fills up with the gas, and you can do Brown's gas topical applications using this little funnel guy. And it does work. You got pain, you got sore muscles. Hey, guess what happens when you infuse Brown's gas into your skin where it hurts? Pain will go away. The other things that are now optional, so this comes with the machine. What's optional that doesn't come with the machine are basically, you can use, you can get a bag and put it over your leg, and there's a couple of straps in here. You see these white straps? So this is just a bag the size of your leg, and you can get these in any drugstore. You can also order it off of Eagle Research's website. There's one for arms. I've already done the arm one, and you know, honestly, it's just, if you want to like treat your whole arm, you want to treat your whole leg, and then also too, you know, the gloves that come with the machine, any one of these you could use to treat a whole hand, you could treat a whole leg or a foot or knee, you could treat your whole arm, and that way when, you know, treating it topically. So all you really do is you just plug this into your second filter, and then take the stone, or you can just pop the stone off, put it inside the bag, right at the where the you see where the straps are, and then the thing fills up like a balloon. And there you go, and you just treat yourself and for as long as you want. Make sure the balloon doesn't pop. Let a little bit of pressure out every now and then, and you can get a really good topical treatment of Brown's gas on any part of your body, whether it's a flat part, arm part, leg part, hand part. And like I said, the only thing that really doesn't work well is knees, but you know, this doesn't work on knees, but if you put your whole leg in a bag, you can treat your knee, okay? So this is some stuff that I went ahead, I bought these extra things to go with my machine. I've used the arm one so far, it works great. I've used the hand one so far, it works great in terms of bubbling with the bubbler. You just use the same bubbler, it's really not complicated at all. I've tried this, works okay on most of my body parts, except knees, but that's other than that. And then that's really it. The last tink that I kind of was doing before I came up with the idea of doing the double filters is you can get this at any aquarium store, okay? And so the idea is that you would pull off the second filter, it plugs into here, and then you've got, I'll just here, and then you've got it coming off of two. So like two of you could breathe at the same time, or you could bubble on one and breathe off the other, or so forth. You can turn, this is off position, but you could turn them on like that. You could have one on, one off anytime. So I actually had this set up for a while. It was just kind of a tubing nightmare, but this worked out pretty well for a while. So these are really cheap. There's like, I don't know, $4 or $5. But you can get one of these splitters here, and then you could basically do two at the same time. I know a lot of you folks are married, and it'd be really helpful for you guys to breathe at the same time, or do like I'm doing, run it through something you're both going to drink, and then take the tube out of here, right, and have this thing come into this guy like this, and then both your cannulas could come off of that, so two of you could breathe at the same time while you're making water. Triple, that's a threefer. But anyway, so these are just some of my ideas. I thought you guys would enjoy some of the ideas I've come up with. But yeah, I'll tell you what, this has been this is really saving me a lot of time. So that's my mods. I hope you enjoyed those ideas. I also wanted to mention that the AC50 AquaCure comes with a handle kit, so you can actually install handles on both front and back of the machine if you want to just pick it up by handles. I don't find these really necessary, but I'm still on the fence of whether I'll install mine. The one thing that I haven't gotten around to yet, because I don't have a specific purpose for it, but this is the torch kit. The torch kit you can get for the AquaCure. This is another major feature that others don't have, and this actually mounts right onto the front. There's actually a hole. If you feel right in here, you'll feel a hole. There's a hole right in here somewhere. It's in there somewhere. But there's actually a hole behind the oh, there it is, right there. You'll find this hole, and then you know there's a tube that goes that way. It connects to this thing, and then it actually pumps gas into this container, which pressurizes it to torch level, and then you've got your torch right here, and the tubing and everything is inside. So the idea is you can literally use the AquaCure as an HHO welding torch with just this. So it's a multiple different use machine, which is why this one is like, you know, sort of like the top of the line. It can be a torch, it could be a bubbler, it could be an inhaler, and then of course as you're going to see next year, George Wiseman is working on a protocol, because what comes out of the torch is called new water, and because water in, water out, but the water out is new water. It has no memory, and there's a lot you could do with water with no memory. So yeah, so it's a pretty versatile machine, a lot of other different accessories that come with it. And then one last thing I forgot to mention, in addition to the bags that you can get, now this actually comes with the machine as a safety feature, but one of the cool things about this as well is that you can slide the you see this hole right here on the top, there's this hole right there. You can slide a tube in there, and then you can actually do eye treatment as well with HHO gas, so, or Brown's gas, right? So you can actually put this on and you can treat your eyes. You can obviously, like I mentioned before, legs, hand, arms, that sort of thing. So very versatile machine, lots of peripherals and accessories that come with it. So it's definitely, you know, it's definitely like it's my favorite machine. So there you go. Okay, so here's the Hydrogen for Health H2 Lite model, Brown's gas generator, and as you can see, it also has essentially the same configuration standpoint. You know, it's much smaller. As you can tell, it's a lot smaller. It does come with a handle, but it also has where the water that the gas comes out. It doesn't come out the top like the AC50 or the AquaCure, so it actually comes out the side. So the gas comes out the side, it goes into filter 1, then it pumps into filter 2, right? And so it's the same exact configuration of the double filter, and then out here, and it goes to the glass that you're bubbling. Or if you just disconnect right here, you can plug in your cannula and then breathe the gas directly. So the whole idea is exactly the same with the double filter as well. Now the thing that really makes this different is that all of the bubblers that that Hydrogen for Health provides are the stainless steel nano bubbler. So that's kind of nice. It's a nice feature because those things aren't cheap. So high quality parts there in terms of the bubbler. But again, you know, as I said, you could always buy your own. And then in terms of simplicity, I mean, this is so simple. I just set it up. It took me less than 5 minutes to set this one up, as opposed to this takes a little while to set up, you know. But once you get this one is like 5 minutes and you can get it set up. You just put some 3 grams of lye in here, distilled water. You turn it on, it's red, starts off red, empty, and then it turns green. The minute it turns green, it's full, you're good. And then when this light turns off, then you want to add some more water and keep it full. If it ever gets too low and you're not paying attention, it'll get red and you're good, you know, then it stops. This is just a timer. There's no frequency device in here, but it's just a timer, and this is the setting. It's 30 minutes, and then once you turn it on, that's your countdown. It's countdowns to 0, and that's really it. There's your on and off switch, and this is your drain. Sorry, this is your drain. I mean, so the whole idea when you have to actually perform maintenance on it, you don't have to tip this one up and upside down, because this is the only thing that's important to note. These bubbles, I mean, these filters are connected. There's a hose that comes out. You cannot disconnect this, I mean, the filters from the machine. They're connected. So, this is not a machine you want to be flipping upside down, because you've got these two bottles right there. So, I mean, they're stuck in there good, but, it's not designed to be flipped over to empty it out. So it's got this little drain valve right there. They just did an upgrade to how their drains work. So now there's this little plug. So it's like this perfect little plastic plug-in. You don't have to mess with it. You plug it in. This is the drain hose, and it drains right into your sink. Actually, you wouldn't want to. You don't want to. Don't throw it away. It drains into like a container. Then you would just put some hot water, flush it out, and then put the electrolyte back in after you filter it. So if you need to filter, I'll show you later what that means. So other than that, this is really the H2 Lite. Like again, it's a lot smaller. And one of the beauties that I've kind of I got this as a backup, because if this guy needs maintenance during the week, it does take a while, and I just don't have time during the week, and I don't want to break my routine. And then I got this guy, and I really like, because it's just the portability of this thing. It's super light. Like here, I can pick this up with one hand, right? So it's super light. This guy, you need two hands to pick up. It's not super heavy. It's just big. So the H2 Lite is just a really nice little machine. I really do like it a lot. And honestly, this thing fits in a Target tote bag, and I'm taking it to work. And so that's going to be one of my little perks. I'll be able to take this to work, and I'll be able to do inhalation at work, inhalation at night, and have bubbled water all the time. Having to is definitely advantageous. And then the only thing though, this is the thing that's most important about the two different machines, between the AquaCure Brown's gas generator and the H2 Lite Brown's gas generator, is the cell technology. This is considered a wet cell. This one's considered a dry cell, and what that means is the wet cells don't overheat. These guys will get warm after a while, and so the max continuous runtime, you could set this timer to 9999, right? But no matter what, it's gonna stop producing continuously. This is very important. It does not produce continuously past 4 hours. What happens after 4 hours is it goes on and off every 5 minutes. It'll go on for 5 minutes, it'll shut off for 5 minutes, because it's overheat. It's reached its threshold on temperature. And so that's the only issue with this one, is that you're going to get 4 hours continuous, and then on and off every 5 minutes thereafter. Whereas I mentioned this guy here, he goes continuous to you need to flush the tank. So I did ask Steve at HydroGenie for Health, okay, so how long would it take if I just turned it off? Could I run it for 4 hours straight again? And he says it takes about 3 hours, 45 minutes to 4 hours to cool off completely before it'll run another straight 4 hours. But either way though, I mean, you're still fine with 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, but that is a difference between this guy goes 4 hours, 8 hours, 12, and it'll go days without stopping and continuously produce. So there's the difference in the technology. That's really probably the most important aspect of the technology of the generation of gas, is the wet and dry cell comparison. But otherwise, these two are going to produce HHO gas and do a really good job for you. You can tell this guy's just bubbling like crazy. And then, both of these machines report that you can saturate water with both machines 1 liter for every 10 minutes. So, one glass should probably take just like not even 5 minutes just to bubble a glass, and you're good to go. So both of these machines are exceptional machines, built by really good American companies. So you know what? Great service. I mean, both George Wiseman over here and Steve Dell over here, I mean, I'm telling you, any issue, any question, any problem that I've had with either one of these machines, those gentlemen have stepped up. They respond on weekends. I mean, I don't expect them to, but I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, and you're never going to get that level of service anywhere else, not in, U.S. So, hey, good job, guys, for building two great machines. There are definite differences here. Obviously, again, this is just a Brown's gas inhalation and water bubbling machine. It does come with cannulas, so you can swap out the bubbler with the cannula. You can also do like I was doing with my mod over here on the AquaCure. You could put in a third bottle so you could bubble while you breathe. you know, that's just a mod you could do to this machine, is like I did with this machine. So, you know, it's really up to you what you want to use it for. But the main thing, though, I love this. It's portable, and it's nice. So I do like that aspect of it, and it's my other favorite machine. So anyway, good job, guys, on building these machines. I hope this helps you understand the difference between the two. If you got any questions, you know, shoot them on over. All right, one last tip for the Brown's gas generators is distilled water distiller. Bottom line, if you're going to be doing this, go and buy one of these things. They're not even $100 on Amazon or eBay. This just distills water, because all of your filters and what water goes in the tank, all of it has to be distilled. And either you're going to run to the store all the time and buy distilled water, or you can just make it and keep it in jugs. But I'm telling you, every weekend or every other weekend, I just distill a gallon of water. I always have distilled water on hand, because the water that I need to put in the machine, you know, the Brown's gas generators are distilled. So get a distiller. It'll save you a lot of time and trouble, less downtime and so forth. And, you know, it's just a plug and play, makes distilled water. All right, that's my last tip. Aloha. Okay, well, welcome back. And now that we've kind of covered the different product features of the two different generators and what kind of makes them the same and what makes them separate. And, you know, unfortunately, I'm sorry I didn't have enough money to buy the third one to do this video. Two's enough. But I'd like to talk about maintenance, because, you know, I make a lot of references to maintenance, and the reason that I have to, you know, I didn't intend to have to, is just that when I first got the AquaCure and I hit that 100-hour mark, and I had to do maintenance on it, it takes a bit of effort to do maintenance on one of these machines. I wanted to just kind of show you a video. I just recently did my second maintenance on the AquaCure, and I filmed it, so I want to share that with you, so you kind of understand what I mean by, you know, the different maintenance, or what it means when I say you have to do maintenance on this. This is a generator. All generators, whether you get a generator for your electricity or a generator for gas, these generators require maintenance. These are not plug and play. They're not like your simple consumer product. You have to work at this. So what I want to tell you is, and then share with you, is that there's really two types of maintenance that you need to do on these generators if you own one. And one is just simply called, you know, just like refill the internal tank, okay? Because the water you put in the tank, the internal tank, is now, of course, being electrolyzed, and then it's getting used up and turning into Brown's gas. And so the water level goes down as it's converting into gas. And so you need to continually refill the tank. And so if you look at the instructions and this is purely off of what the website provides, H2 Life is basically, they're recommending every 20 to 30 hours you need to top off the tank and fill it back up with some water. Distilled water, okay, very important, distilled water. And HydroGenie doesn't have any comments on their website about what they need to do theirs, but the AquaCure is every 10 to 24 hours, and it really depends on use. So you can kind of see where when it comes down to flushing the internal tank, HydroGenie gets very specific about, you know, how much do you use it, because the more you use it, of course, the faster you're going to need to do maintenance, right? Or more often you'll need to do maintenance, okay? So that's the kind of the concept there, but there's no comments. I couldn't find any specs on how often you would refill the HydroGenie. I'm just guessing it's almost the same size as the H2 Life, so probably about the same, every 20 to 30 hours, and the AquaCure is 10 to 24. And again, it really depends. And like I was pointing out in the video, just look at the gauge. It'll tell you. And so sometimes it could be 10, you know, if you only, you know, some other times it could be more. It really depends on really how much you're using it, but not just how much you're using it, but at what setting the output is. Like if you're constantly bubbling water, it's way different, especially on the AquaCure, because the AquaCure, by the way, is the only one you can change the output amount. You can change the output percentages. So if you set it for 100% and run it for 10 hours, is way different, and that's bubbling water setting, than if you set it to 40 to breathe and you're running it at 40% for 10 hours, right? You can see there's a huge difference of the amount of water you're going to turn into gas. So just the math. So it really depends, right? It really depends on how much you use it, These two is just purely how much you use it. There's no setting. You can't change the output. This one you can change the output on the AquaCure, so it really depends. Bottom line is these are the basic numbers that you need to keep an eye on if you own this thing, and making sure you're keeping the tank full. Now all of them have an auto shut off if it runs out of water, so you're safe there. AquaCure actually added on, there's an alarm as well. Okay, but the bottom line is you got to put water in the thing, and you're going to want to put in water every so often. Keep an eye on the gauge, keep an eye on the lights, and you need to put more water in there. And the water that you put in the tank is going to come out of that filter number 1. Okay, you have 2 filters. You use the water from filter 1, and that's what goes into the tank. Okay, now and then you'd fill it back up with distilled water, the filter. Okay, now and now what I mean by, or what is meant by, when you have to flush the internal tank. So flushing the internal tank, and the reason you have to do that is particulates build up, and you know, I mean, all of these companies, they use really high quality materials, but even with the best materials, you know, you'll have some impurities in the steel, impurities in the manufacturing process, and so when you start using electrolysis and you're starting to run electricity between metal, you're going to get some particulates coming off of the metal and into the water, and so those particulates build up and they form kind of a sludge, and then you need to basically rinse that sludge out so that it doesn't interfere. The more sludge in there, the less gas you're making, and it affects the performance of the machine. So all 3 of these generators require that you flush the tank. Now, you don't throw away the electrolyte. I'll show you that here. I got a video for you. I want to walk you through what I just finished doing with the AquaCure, so you can understand what I mean by maintenance and flushing the internal tank. You don't throw it away. You keep that, and you use that after you filter out the particulates. You put it back in the machine. All right. But the whole idea, though, is it does require maintenance. And to give you, once you watch this little next video about how to take care of the AquaCure, you'll understand that if this happens like on a Wednesday night, and I don't have a lot of time during the week, then I'm just going to put that machine aside, and that's why I got a second one. That's the whole reason I got a second one, because I just don't have time to mess with that during the week. And so having a backup for me is really important, because I'm trying to do an experiment right now. I'm trying to do a multi-year experiment where I'm consistently breathing for 2 hours a day, consistently drinking a half a gallon. Once I get through the holidays, which is very disruptive, I'm going to start that routine back up again, and I'm hell-bent on keeping up with it. And I want to see, you know, what happens, because everything I've read, there should be some real interesting things happening in terms of my health. So, you know, in order to run that experiment, I can't have any interruption, so that's why I did get a backup, which is the H2 Life. Now, here's when you have to flush these internal tanks. Per H2 Life, or Hydrogen for Health, they're saying every 100 hours you need to flush the tank. Over here, the AquaCure is also 100 to 120. Now, I just want to point out that everything on the website says 200, but I was recently talking with George, and he was telling me that, you know, he's reconsidering it because of just some machines build up sludge faster than others, and he's now recommending 100 to 120 hours. Okay, so he just hasn't updated his website yet, but that's what he's recommending. That's what he told me to do, and so that's what I am doing now. In terms of the Alkaway HydroGenie, they're basically saying, hey, if you use it less than 2 hours a day, clean it every 12 months. If you use it all the way up to 4 hours a day, every 3 months. So you can see, just, you know, twice as much is not twice as often. It's, it's a lot more often, right? It's 4 times a year versus 1 time a year. So it's exponentially more necessary to flush the tank the more you use it, and this is kind of what this shows. But this is on their website, and if basically you use it 4 hours a day, which I do, I minimum use my generator 4 hours a day. I'm bubbling water, I'm breathing it, I bubble water twice, breathe as much as I can, and so yeah, definitely you would need to clean it more often. And they're just going by this scale, and you know, this machine doesn't have a timer on it, so it would be a pain in your okole to keep track of this, to know when to do that. So if you have a HydroGenie, I would highly recommend you just do it. Like, just, you know, if you use your machine, I would just say, hey, every other month, just do it anyway, right? Don't wait. And then that way you keep your tank clean, and you keep your generator running at optimal performance. All right, so let's show you the video about how to maintain the AquaCure, so you have an idea exactly what that looks like, because I know you like video, you like examples. So let's go ahead and show you that, and we'll finish this up. Okay, so this is the flushing procedure. Basically, you just disassemble all the peripherals and take the cap off, and then you've got this open tube. I just pour it into a Pyrex and then I take it from there, and I'll show you. I use one of my spare filters. I use the port plate as opposed to a sink turd because it's caustic fluid. You don't really want it to, you don't want to use it with your oil once you're done using it with the AquaCure. So I just use a port plate. It's really easy to clean. Nothing will get inside the sink turd, glass. So port plates seem to be the way to go. And then I'm just going to pour it into here, filter out the residue. I'll get the remaining caustic electrolyte in here, and then I'll pour it back in to the machine after I flush it out with hot water and get all the residual sludge out of it. So I'll show you how it goes. Alright, so I've poured out the tank into this Pyrex. As you can see, it's pretty clear, and I'm just doing a vacuum filter of the electrolyte, so that I'm just using a 25 micron, and you'll see that there's actually residue in the fluid, in the electrolyte, that's being captured by the paper filter. So even though it doesn't look like there's anything there, you can definitely see right there, just where those holes are in the port plate, that is actually capturing any type of residual. The very first flush, there was a lot. It was like mud. This is the second one. So once you get the whatever impurities from the metal out off the plates and so forth, the second, and from then on, flush should be pretty clear. I just wanted to point out one thing I didn't mention earlier was wear gloves. Safety first. Wear glasses, wear gloves. You do not want to get this electrolyte on you. It is caustic, and they do warn to be very careful about getting it on the paint. So I want to show you that if you do get it on the paint, it will affect the paint. I don't know if you can see. It's really hard to come. Yeah, if you see that right there, it does eat into the paint. It does eat into the metal if it touches metal. So there's another spot on here. The other day I noticed that it did right there. You see that? That's where the electrolyte touched the metal. So if it does that to metal, it will definitely do that to your skin. So be very careful. But this is just how I do it. I mean, it's just, to me, you could put it in a like in a colander with a coffee filter. A coffee filter is 20 microns. I'm using a 25 micron Wattman filters. The number 4 is 25 micron. Or just a coffee filter is 20 microns, so you could easily do it that way. And that's really what it is. I'm just trying to, clear it up before I pour it back in. And then meanwhile, while the electrolyte is filtering to clean it, and you want to save it. This is really precious. The more you use it, the better electrolyte it works in terms of inside the machine. So at this point now, what I'll be doing is, with the filter, the funnel that comes with the machine, filling it up with hot tap water. Basically not boiling, but just hot tap water. You fill up the tank, move, just kind of shake the machine around, empty it out into the sink, and you do that several times until no particulates come out. And particulates meaning, you see that right there, that little thingy floating, like you can see the things that are little itty bitty tiny little things. Yeah, you just want to make sure there's nothing. You just want to make sure it's as clean as possible before you put the filtered electrolyte back in. And we'll go through that in a second, okay? All right, I want to show you, you see these the color, you see how it's kind of like purple? And there's all these little specks. Yeah, that's the impurities of the metal in the plates. And they use high quality metal, but after every 100 hours, this stuff builds up, affects the gas production. So that's what you're trying to rinse out of your machine, is you want to keep rinsing hot water in there until all that stuff comes out. And once you get it so that it comes out and it's completely clear, then you know it's cleaned out. You empty this, and then you put the electrolyte back in. Yeah, I'm just going to show you this sink so you can kind of see all that stuff that came out of the tank. Yeah, all that in there, it messes with the gas production, and that's why the machine doesn't run as well after around 120 hours. So this step is called flushing the tank, so you want to get all that out. Alright, so I'm done filtering the electrolyte. I'm done flushing the tank, basically filling it with hot water, swishing it around, tipping it over, pouring it out. I think I did that 7 times to finally get it to where the water was clear and no little particulates were coming out. Put the funnel back on, wrap it with a towel, because now I'm going to be pouring the electrolyte back into the machine. And this is where you know, it's important to know the volumes, but basically it's 100 or 1 liter and 250 ml, so 1250 milliliters of electrolyte need to go back in. So what I'll do is, I think I got a little over a liter of electrolyte that came out of the tank that I've now filtered clear, and then I'm going to take the water out of filter number 1 and then basically fill it up with at the 1250 milliliter mark, and that's all that's going to go in the tank. It won't be full. You don't want it to be full. You want it to be about 7 3/4 full, and it operates just fine that way. So that's what I'll be doing, and I need both hands, so I'll show you in a second when I'm done. Okay, so I poured 1 full liter in, and I've measured out another 250 milliliters of whatever was left over from what filtered, and then what came out of the filter number 1, and then whatever's left over in filter number 1 I save in a jar to use that to fill the tank back up later. Okay, because you always save your filter, your number 1 filter water. You can use that to fill the tank. That's what you're supposed to do. And then something that I've learned just from using it is that you really got to be careful when you're filling this thing up. It takes a while for the measure here to pick up the amount of water in the tank. So I pour the first liter in, and I'm just going to wait and then make sure that this thing levels off before I fill in the other 250, because yeah, you could overfill this thing really easy, where you'd overfill the tank but this thing's still showing up to here, right? Because it takes a while for this thing to catch up. So give it some time, don't be in a rush, and just, you know, and then just do it one step at a time. All right, well, you know, I'm glad that you guys got a chance to see that. You know, it is interesting. I wish you know, there's some kind of, I had no idea that's what I had to go through every single time. In the beginning, I don't mind. I'm glad, you know, I'm glad I have a machine, but that's what it takes. You have to sit and do that. Now, you don't have to use all of that filtering stuff. If you guys are not familiar with making C60, which is the bulk of my YouTube channel is about, carbon 60, and I have all that filtration stuff. In fact, that pour plate filtration rig is left over from a video I made about filtration rigs. So I just happen to have one, right? And I have all the gear because I'm always making C60 oil and all sorts of different things on the side. I have a little lab, so I just happen to have that. Now, if you don't have one of those, like I did say in the video, coffee filter and a colander. All right, you don't have to get fancy, but that's the idea. I mean, I just happen to have all the lab gear. So, but that's what it takes to you know, keep your tank clean, and you got to do that every 120 hours. All right, so now I'm just going to do a wrap up here. Again, you know, this is the Hydrogen for Health H2 Life, and the price points here. You know, it's basically $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. So it actually goes up, step up, step up, step up. These two are basically almost the same in terms of just the you know, the basic features, but the one thing I do want to point out about the Alkaway is it's a wet cell. So this puppy will run and run and run and run, and it won't stop, and it won't go into like alternative mode like the Hydrogen for Health H2 Life will. Okay, so this one is a wet cell. The HydroGenie is a wet cell, so it has the same continuous function that the AquaCure does. And so you can kind of see where the wet cells do cost a little bit more, and it's that whole issue of if you ever want to run this thing all night long, or you've got multiple people and pets that you want to have use this thing, then you're going to want to get a machine that's going to run a lot longer. If it's just you and you're only using it, then yeah, you're perfectly fine by getting by with this guy. So that's the whole difference between these two, is one's continuous and one's every, you know, it goes up to 4 and then every 5 minutes, right? And then if you've got a larger family and you just really want to do a lot more with it, and you have a lot more features and a lot more flexibility and a little bit more experimentation you could do with this, then, you know, then this is the AquaCure AC50. I literally would recommend any one of these. It really depends on your specific use case and what do you want to use it for. And like I've actually up to, when I first bought one, I bought the AquaCure as the first one because I fully intended to breathe all night long. And that's what the goal I'm trying to work with. But I ran into a snag, and my snag is I'm a mouth breather at night, and so I got short story. I got this stupid chin strap thing, right, and I put it on, and I keep my mouth shut, so I breathe through my nose through the cannula, and that didn't work. So I tried some stupid mask thing, and I couldn't stand it. And yeah, I'm still working on the breathe all night long because I'm a mouth breather. Good thing I don't have things crawling on the roof, right, or the ceiling. So I'm still working on that, but you know, I didn't think about that when I first got the AquaCure. But so at least I'm trying to breathe it. Is every single time I sit down, I'm using it. So, and that's kind of where I'm getting to. So I'm still working it out, but that's kind of what I bought it for. Is I wanted a generator that just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs, right? But that's it. So that's my review and a little bit of information about maintenance. And so now, lastly, I just want to walk you through just the features, just to kind of go over it one more time. This is my features matrix. I'm not going to go through this exactly point before, and I already talked about all of this stuff, but I just want to show you that I did do a features vendor product comparison. Here are all the different features. These are the different specs coming off of all of their websites. The red is highlighted is what's really different about the machines. The one thing I didn't cover, and this is going to be in the video description as a PDF, okay, so you guys can download this and read it. But what I did want to point out that I didn't before is this is what the machines come with. So depending on which machine, like the H2 Life, the HydroGenie, or the AC50, they all come with dual scrubbers. There's a filter 1, filter 2. They have different, bubblers. They come with their electrolyte, which is usually lye. These two machines come with 2 nasal cannulas. This one only has 1. Now these ones have the steel bubbler. That's the H2 Life, and then over here it's just a stone bubbler. The AquaCure has a stone bubbler as well, but again, you could get your own steel one, and like I did. And then it has the external gas applicators, so and an extension cord for hose if you want to do like a foot bath or try to do your bathtub, which is a whole nother subject. Okay, and then these two have their user manuals, and that's what the machines come with. And so you have just a few more things that come with the machines other than the H2 Life, but it's not a major difference. You can always go out and buy an extra cannula if you've got 2 people wanting to use the H2 Life and so forth. Now, the one thing that I did find that was interesting was that there's a difference in the warranty. And I just want to point out the other reason I got an AquaCure is it's got a lifetime warranty against mechanical defect. And then I found out the H2 Life has one as well, so that's kind of really where I lean towards. I mean, if you're talking to a person who's been around for a couple of decades and they tell you, hey, I stand by my product for the lifetime of the company, right, obviously, then, that says something to me. So this is a real big difference here is the warranty on these machines. Over here, Steve at Hydrogen for Health, he gives a 1-year warranty and lifetime service facility for repairs and a lifetime warranty against mechanical defect. Over here on the AquaCure AC50, George Wiseman provides a 1-year money-back satisfaction guarantee. It's unbelievable. You could just tell him you're not satisfied. 9 months from now, this is how much this man stands behind his product. And then he also provides a lifetime guarantee against mechanical defect. All right, so both of these companies are just, they stand by their product. And then so nothing wrong with Alkaway, but I do want to point out that their warranty is different. They provide only a 3-year warranty on the generator. And if you want any more, if you want an extended warranty, then it's 1 year at a time on the electronic components that you can extend, and you pay a little bit extra for the extended warranty. And that's how they've structured their product. So it is different, and because it's different, I wanted to point it out. All right, the only other perks that come with these machines is you've got on the AquaCure, you've got access to Eagle Research's online resource library, so he gives you a password, and then he's just got a ton of research he's been doing since he's been around, since 1984. Again, the customer service from both of the companies that I bought generators for is absolutely exceptional. I mean, it's just unbelievable how well these people are just so responsive. And for all the folks that kind of got interested in brown gas from my other video, I've been seeing people popping into the Telegram chat room. I think at least a half a dozen so far that I know about have purchased brown gas generators either from George or from Steve, and they are reporting exceptional customer service as well. So it wasn't just me, and those, by the way, when I bought them from these two guys, they don't even know I made videos. So I just regular Joe. So you just I don't want anything to interfere with just how I'm treated versus anything else. And so that's really it. And that's really it. And they're all made in the USA. So that's it for my review. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I know that you're, again, you're really busy and just watching my video. Thank thank you. Thank you for taking your time. I hope you learned something. I did. I learned a lot. And I'm just so happy to be able to share it with you. And that's the whole premise of my YouTube channel. So thank you again for stopping by. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. And if you have any questions, I changed the name of that Telegram chat group for this. I just renamed it Electro Healing so it matches the video series. But if you have any questions about electro healing, everything else, right? I mean, whether it's Raymond Rife technology or Lakovsky or you name it, PMF, you name it, and Brown's gas, it's all about electricity. That electrically expanded water thing, that's a big deal. This is where those conversations and questions are happening, or you can just post a question in the YouTube comments below. So thank you again for stopping by. Have a great weekend, and again, Happy New Year 2020. Here we are. I can't believe it, right? So anyway, Happy New Year. Thank you. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Aloha.